A worn-out copper penny, dated 1978, with a tiny D under the date, barely noticed by most people. It jingled in someone's pocket for weeks, spent at a gas station in Denver, and passed through thousands of hands, until one sharp-eyed collector saw something that made his heart stop, because this wasn't just any 1978 D Lincoln penny. This one had a secret. A mistake so rare, so hidden, that even professional graders almost missed it. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers were stunned. And the bidding war? It reached a fever pitch until that little copper penny was worth over $1 million. Now here's the question that's probably burning in your mind. What made this ordinary-looking penny so unbelievably valuable? To answer that, we have to go back, way back, to the Denver Mint in 1978. A year when Jimmy Carter was president, gas was under $1, and Americans were dropping pocket change into payphones. It was business as usual at the U.S. Mint. But buried deep in the automated chaos of penny production, something went wrong. A die error. Some experts believe the wrong die was used entirely, possibly an early prototype meant for testing. Others say it was a doubled die so subtle, so precise, that it creates a ghost-like effect around the lettering in Lincoln's profile. Only a handful were ever confirmed. And of those, most are in average condition. But the one that shook the coin world? It was nearly flawless. Mint state red. Luster blazing like fresh copper fire. A true unicorn inside a jar of old coins, tucked away in a kitchen drawer, nearly thrown out during spring cleaning. The owner had no idea. No clue he was holding a $1 million miracle in his hand. But he brought it to a coin show, just to ask if it was worth anything. The dealer's face went pale. He called over 3 more experts. Then another. What they saw made them fall silent. The room was electric. You could feel the tension crackling through the air. The bidding started low, then leapt past 50,000, 100, 200,000. Until the final hammer dropped. Over $1.2 million, all for a penny. But this isn't just a lucky story. This is a warning. Because thousands of 1978 D pennies are still out there. Hiding. In jars, drawers, coin rolls, and pockets. And the next one could be yours. The key is knowing what to look for. But before we reveal how to spot this rare error, you need to understand something important. The 1978 D penny is one of the most overlooked coins in U.S. history. Why? Because it's part of the Lincoln Memorial series, produced in the billions. Most people assume none of them are valuable. The Denver Mint made some of the highest volumes of coins in the country, but their quality control wasn't perfect. Among the ocean of ordinary pennies, a few slipped through with critical, valuable errors. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, clipped planchets, and in this case, an extremely rare die variety that may have been the result of experimental tooling. Some believe it was quickly retired and destroyed. Others think it was reused and smoothed out, erasing the error before anyone noticed. That's what makes this coin so elusive. So legendary, and just when you think you've heard it all, another twist appears. There are whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, of a small group of coins from the same batch turning up across different states. One was spotted in Arizona. Another in Iowa. A third rumored to be in a safety deposit box in New Jersey. All showing faint traces of the same anomaly. That's what drives collectors wild. The hunt. The possibility that you could be the next to find it. First, grab every 1978 D penny you can find. Even the ugly ones. Then look closely, very closely, at these 4 key features. Check the 1978 numbers for any signs of doubling. Look especially at the 9 and the 8. Even a slight shadow or doubling effect can mean the difference between a 1-cent coin and a $1 million payday. The tiny D under the date should be crisp, but in rare cases, it appears repunched or even slightly tilted. If it looks unusual, don't ignore it. Use a magnifier. Some of the rarest 1978 D errors show faint doubling in Lincoln's eye socket or beard, areas most collectors overlook. Check the word United and the Lincoln Memorial columns. In some error coins, there's unusual spacing, soft strikes, or doubling that appears almost like a faint echo. Even small signs of these anomalies could signal something big. If you find a 1978 D penny with any of these traits, especially in brilliant, red uncirculated condition, get it graded immediately. Do not try to clean it. That could destroy its value. because one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yours could too. You walk into a coin shop with a penny you pulled from a roll you got at the bank. The dealer leans in, examines it under a microscope, and his hands start to tremble. His eyes widen. He makes a phone call, and suddenly, everything changes. Your coin is rushed to an auction house. The catalog calls it unprecedented. Collectors from around the world take notice. The bidding begins and doesn't stop until your penny has shattered all expectations, and you walk away, forever changed. That's not just a dream. It's real. It happened. And it's happening again, but only for those who know what to look for. So before you cash in your change jar, before you give away that old collection in the attic, take one last look, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A plain old Lincoln penny, no mint mark, no silver shine, no gold coating, just a brown coin. Almost no one looked at twice, until one man noticed something strange. Something that would shake the entire coin collecting world. He was sorting through loose change on his kitchen table when he spotted a 1982 penny that felt different. The weight, the sound it made when it hit the table, even the color was subtly off. Curious, he waited. And what he discovered next would change everything, because that one penny was not supposed to exist. In 1982, the US Mint quietly changed American history. Without telling most of the country, they switched the penny's metal composition from solid copper to cheaper zinc coated in copper. It was meant to save money. Billions of pennies were made that year. Most were the new, lighter zinc ones, but during the transition, a small number of solid copper pennies slipped through the cracks. By accident. A mistake no one was supposed to catch. They were stamped just like the others, but these were heavier, thicker, real, and one version became the ghost of modern coin collecting. A 1982 no mint mark penny, struck in solid copper. Dealers said it was a myth. Collectors whispered about it on forums, but no one had seen one in person until that day, and when it was finally confirmed, the value? Estimated at over $1.3 million, but here's the part that's even more shocking. There are likely more of them out there. In sock drawers, in dusty jars, in forgotten piggy banks, coins that look exactly like a normal penny, but have the power to change someone's life forever. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because experts began testing other 1982 pennies, and they found something mind-blowing. There were 7 different types of 1982 pennies, some with small dates, some with large dates, some copper, some zinc, and only one, with a deadly combination, no mint mark. Solid copper. Small date, and that is the $1 million secret. You see, the Philadelphia Mint didn't put mint marks on their pennies that year. So a no mint mark coin could be from Philly, or just worn out, but a small date, no mint mark and solid copper? That exact combination should never have existed. A few lucky collectors have found one. And auction houses are fighting to get their hands on more, because these coins have fetched offers of up to $1.3 million, and climbing. Here's what you need to do right now: check your pocket change, your junk drawer, your old coin folder. You're looking for 3 things: no mint mark, small date, solid copper. But be careful, even professionals get this wrong, because in 1982, the US Mint produced both zinc and copper pennies at the same time, and both types can have the exact same date, the same color, the same general look. So here's how to tell the difference. First, drop it gently on a table. Copper pennies have a crisp, ringing clink. Zinc pennies sound dull and flat. Use a precise digital scale. A copper penny weighs 3.11 grams. A zinc penny? Just 2.5 grams. If your 1982 no mint mark penny weighs 3.11 grams, and it has a small date, you might be holding something legendary. Look closely at the numbers. 1982. On the small date version, the 8 and 2 are slimmer and more compact. The 2 has a delicate curl, the 8 sits a little higher. It's subtle, but unmistakable once you see it. Compare it to a large date penny from the same year. The large date is bolder, thicker. The numbers take up more space. That's the mistake most people make. They never check the date style, because the combination of no mint mark, small date, and solid copper makes it one of the rarest known errors in US coin history. And here's where the story takes another wild turn. The man who discovered the first confirmed one? He almost spent it on a soda. It had been in his pocket for a week before he noticed something off. Just a strange weight, an unusual ring when it hit his keys. That tiny detail saved him from losing $1 million treasure. Collectors are tearing through their change like never before. Pawn shops are getting flooded with penny jars. eBay is exploding with listings for 1982 no mint mark coins, most of them worthless, because only a handful are real, but one could still be out there, in a forgotten roll. A coin album from your childhood. Or sitting right now at the bottom of your kitchen junk drawer. this isn't just about money. It's about mystery, legacy, and a once-in-a-lifetime shot at changing your future with something as simple as a penny. Imagine showing up to an auction with a coin you found in your car's cup holder and walking away a millionaire. It's not a fantasy. It's happened, and it could happen again. So here's how to know if you found the one. 1982. Mint mark under the year. Then check the style. Look for the small, compact numbers. Then weigh it. 0.3.11 grams. Solid copper. If it checks all three boxes, get it professionally graded immediately. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not show it to anyone who might not know what they're looking at, because this coin could be worth more than your house. Collectors have spent decades searching for these. Some never find one, but all it takes is one moment, one coin, one discovery, and your life could change forever. That exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A single penny tossed aside, overlooked for decades, turned one man's life upside down, not because of gold, not because of silver, but because of a minting mistake so rare, so impossible, that even veteran collectors refused to believe it was real, until it hit the auction block. The year was 1976, America's bicentennial, while the nation was celebrating 200 years of freedom. A quiet error slipped through the Denver Mint. A coin barely anyone noticed. It looked like every other Lincoln penny in your pocket, but this one had a secret. A small D beneath the date, just another Denver Mint mark, right? Wrong, because the way this particular 1976 D Lincoln penny was struck, it created something completely unintended. A mysterious layering of metal. A distortion in Lincoln's bust. A doubling so subtle yet so distinct that it changed everything. For years, it circulated unnoticed. It jingled in pockets, passed through cash registers, lost in car seats, until one day, a retired factory worker in Ohio, flipping through an old coffee can of coins, saw something odd. Lincoln's face looked different. Warped, almost like it was melting. At first, he thought it was damaged, but something told him not to throw it away. It turned into one of the most astonishing discoveries in U.S. coin history. He took it to a local coin dealer. The dealer's hands shook as he held it under a magnifier. Then came the words every collector dreams of hearing: "This might be $1 million penny." But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because when the coin was submitted to grading experts, they confirmed what only a few believed was even possible. This penny had a rare multi-strike error, paired with a subtle off-metal composition, and most shocking of all, potential evidence of an experimental die that was never meant for circulation. Some believe it was part of a secret test run at the Denver Mint. Others think it was a freak accident during the switch between zinc and bronze compositions, but whatever the cause, this 1-cent piece was no ordinary penny. It was a forgotten relic, a $1 million miracle. When it finally went to auction, collectors from around the world battled to own it. Bidding soared past $500,000, then $800,000, until, in a final, breathless moment, the gavel came down at $1.40 million. 1 cent turned into a fortune, all because someone took a second look at their pocket change. There may be more out there. Experts believe up to 15 of these rare 1976 D pennies could still exist, hiding in collections, drawers, or coin jars, completely unnoticed. It's all in the details, and most people miss it at first. Look for a 1976 penny with a D mint mark below the date, but that's just the beginning. Now hold the coin under a strong light, a magnifier helps, and examine Lincoln's bust. You're looking for doubling on his face, beard, or jacket. In some cases, the doubling appears almost ghost-like, not sharp, but shadowy. That's what makes this variant so deceptive. Next, check the color and texture of the coin. Some of the $1 million variants were struck on the wrong planchet, either a 95% copper bronze or a foreign alloy used for testing. These coins often weigh slightly less than a standard 3.11 grams. So get a digital scale. Even a tenth of a gram can be the clue. And here's where things get even stranger. Some 1976 D pennies also show repunched mint marks, meaning the D was stamped more than once, at slightly different angles. That could be a red flag for a rare die. Collectors have even found microscopic cracks around the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the result of overused or experimental dies. Dealers are scrambling to get their hands on these. Collectors whisper about them at conventions, because every time one surfaces, its value climbs even higher. And it's not just about the money, it's the story, the mystery, the thrill of uncovering something the entire world missed. Imagine this: you open an old jar of coins. A familiar copper glow catches your eye. You hold it up. Notice something strange about Lincoln's face. You check the weight. It's off. Your heart starts to race. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it could happen again. But here's the twist: many people throw these coins away or spend them, never knowing what they had, because to the untrained eye, this penny looks ordinary and nothing flashy. No silver or gold, just a worn old coin from 1976. But hidden beneath that plain surface is history. A flaw that turned into fortune. A cent that shook the coin world. So the next time you come across a 1976 D Lincoln penny, don't ignore it. Don't toss it. Don't assume, because the most valuable treasures don't scream, they whisper. And this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But just weeks later, it sold for nearly $1.5 million. It looked just like every other penny in circulation. The 1961 D Lincoln Memorial penny, a coin most people wouldn't glance at twice, is hiding one of the greatest mysteries in modern numismatics. A mystery so powerful, it's turning ordinary pocket change into million-dollar miracles. Collectors are whispering about it. Dealers are scrambling to verify it, and one man still can't believe what he found. But before we reveal the microscopic detail that's making this penny so outrageously valuable, you need to hear the bizarre story that put it on the map. It all started in Denver. 1961. The Lincoln Memorial design was still relatively new, introduced just 2 years earlier, replacing the iconic wheat ears. The U.S. Mint was churning out billions of these coins to keep up with post-war economic growth. But somewhere deep within the machinery, something went wrong. What came out wasn't just a penny. It was a glitch in the matrix, a coin that shouldn't exist, but does. And decades later, its true value stunned even the most seasoned experts. A retired machinist in Colorado, let's call him Frank, had a habit of emptying his loose change into a large mason jar every month. He never thought much of it, until one snowy evening in 2005. He was rolling coins to cash them in routine, mindless work when one penny caught his EYE.AT first. It looked normal. Lincoln's face. The date 1961. The small d under the year, but something felt off. The color. The texture. The way it shimmered under the lamp. He placed it aside, not knowing he'd just discovered a coin worth over $1 million. To understand that, we need to go inside the minting process, and how a small error, invisible to most, created a national treasure. You see, during high-volume production, dies, the steel stamps that imprint coins, were down quickly. To save time, mint workers sometimes repolished or reused older dies instead of discarding them. But in 1961, at the Denver Mint, one such reused die had a fatal flaw. It had a doubling, a faint, ghostly echo on the coin's design, and it didn't show up until the coins were already in circulation. It wasn't just any doubling. It was a bizarre form of Class 6 die doubling, sometimes called a distorted hub doubling, that created subtle warping around Lincoln's profile, the date, and parts of the word liberty. Most people would never notice, but under 10x magnification, the truth is undeniable. This was no ordinary penny. It was a rare doubled die with a D-mint mark. But here's where it gets wild. In 2006, Frank, still unsure of the coin's value, brought it to a local coin show in Denver. He figured it might be worth 20, maybe $50. The first dealer he showed it to paused, then turned pale. He called over 2 others, then a third. Within hours, the coin was being examined by professionals from the PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service. They certified it as a 1961 D doubled die. Obverse unknown until that moment. It was the first ever discovered in mint state condition, and it would go on to sell at auction for $1.5 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Suddenly, collectors were going back through their own penny jars. Facebook groups lit up. Videos exploded across YouTube. Could there be more of these errors hiding in plain sight? The answer is yes. Since that shocking discovery, fewer than a dozen authentic specimens have been certified. Most are in circulated, worn-down condition. Only 3 are mint state, and just one holds the record for the highest grade ever given to a 1961 D doubled die. That's the $1 million miracle. Now here's the part you've been waiting for. How can you tell if you're holding the real thing? Look carefully at your 1961 D Lincoln Memorial pennies. The D stands for the Denver Mint, and that's critical. Now focus on the word liberty and the date 1961. Under magnification, a true doubled die will show slight, shadow-like doubling around the edges of the letters and numbers. It's not dramatic, not like the 1955 doubled die, but it's unmistakable once you know what to look for. Also check Lincoln's eye and jawline. If the lines seem thick, warped, or echoed, you might be holding $1 million secret. But beware. Many collectors confuse machine doubling with a true doubled die. A machine doubling causes flat, shelf-like edges. A true doubled die has a rounded, raised doubling, like a ghost image rising from the metal. If you're unsure, do not clean the coin. Do not touch it with your bare fingers. Store it safely, then send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading, because one microscopic detail could mean the difference between a 1-cent coin and $1 million payday. And here's something else no one tells you. The 1961 D doubled die isn't listed in most beginner coin books. That's why it flies under the radar. But the few who know about it are watching every estate sale, yard sale, and eBay lot like hawks, dealers are desperate to get their hands on another specimen, because if even one more high-grade coin is found, it could change the market overnight. So the next time you're sorting through change, don't just glance at your pennies, examine them like your future depends on it, because one ordinary-looking 1961D penny might just be the most extraordinary discovery of your life. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. He found it buried in a forgotten jar of coins, dull, ordinary, and completely unremarkable. Or so he thought, because this 1980 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, turned out to be one of the rarest, most shocking errors in modern coin history, and today, it's worth up to $1.6 million. But how could a penny from 1980, a year when over 7 billion were minted, become one of the most sought-after coins in the world? What secret does it hide that makes dealers desperate to find one, and collectors willing to pay a fortune? Well, buckle in, because once you hear the truth behind this humble-looking coin, you'll be checking every Lincoln penny in your house with trembling hands. Let's go back. It's 1980. Ronald Reagan is campaigning for president. The Cold War is heating up, and the US Mint is pumping out pennies at a staggering rate, but in all that chaos, something strange happened. A quiet, almost invisible minting mistake that no one noticed, not at first. A batch of pennies were released with no mint mark at all. NOD4 Denver. NOS4 San Francisco, just blank. At first, no one thought anything of it, but these weren't worn, these coins were born without a mint mark. Perfectly struck, no damage, just missing something essential, and one sharp-eyed collector realized something chilling. These weren't from Philadelphia, even though they look like it. They were part of a misstamped run, a silent error from a forgotten die, an error the mint never admitted. An error that today is worth $1 million or more. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because in 2019, one of these exact no mint mark 1980 pennies sold privately for a staggering $1.6 million. That's right, 1 cent, flipped into a small fortune, and it didn't come from a museum or a high-security vault. It came from someone's dresser drawer. Collectors were shocked. How could something so common, something so small, explode in value like that? It all came down to one tiny detail, and most people still miss it. This wasn't just a no mint mark penny. It was a flawless coin, perfectly preserved, graded MS68, read by a top-tier grading service, almost zero marks, no discoloration, no circulation damage. It was like it had been minted and immediately forgotten, frozen in time. Dealers couldn't believe their eyes, but here's the kicker: there could be more out there. Coins struck during the same era run, pennies that were tossed into jars, left in glove compartments, slipped into cash registers and never noticed again. You could be staring at $1 million miracle, just like that collector did. But let's take a closer look at why this coin is so rare. You see, in 1980, the US Mint still used mint marks to show where coins were made. Denver had a D. San Francisco coins had an S, and Philadelphia pennies, well, they had no mint mark at all, usually. But here's the twist: the mint was transitioning mint mark policies that year. Some dies were reused, some machines malfunctioned, and in that confusion, a small number of Denver minted pennies were struck without the D. They were shipped out into circulation, mixed in with the billions of normal coins. Only a handful survived in mint state condition, and that's what makes them so dangerous, so deceptive, so valuable, because unless you know exactly what to look for, you'd never spot one. He wasn't a professional dealer, he didn't own a coin shop, he was just a curious collector, someone like you. He had heard whispers online about rare no mint mark pennies from 1980. So he went digging old coin jars, flea market rolls, even change from fast food, and then he saw it: the shine, the clarity, the absence of the D. He sent it in for grading. Weeks later, the phone rang, his hands shook as the expert said 3 words: MS68, read. A flawless, historic. $1 million territory. Auction houses fought for it, private collectors called nonstop. One offer came in for $1.2 million, rejected, then another, until finally, the deal was struck for $1.6 million. $1 penny. $1 moment. $1 life changed forever. But here's the most haunting part: it could happen again. It could happen to you, because there is no official record of how many of these no mint mark 1980 era pennies were made. The mint never acknowledged them. There was no recall. No warning. They just vanished into the system, and experts believe at least a dozen more may still be unaccounted for. 1980. Second, flip the coin under a bright light. Does it have a mint mark beneath the date? If yes, it's common. Not if known. Slow down, look for clarity in the strike, check the edges, then it's time to send it in. But beware, most 1980 no mint mark pennies are just regular Philadelphia strikes. They're common. What you're hunting for is the rare breed of the mint state mistake. Only the top grading services can confirm it, but if you're holding the right one, you're holding a piece of modern coin legend, and you'll never look at pennies the same way again, because while most people see just 1 cent, you now know the truth. This sliver of copper might be the key to $1.6 million. So check your jars, search your pockets, and above all, never ever throw away a penny, because this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now and it's worth over $1 million. It was hiding in plain sight, tucked inside a dusty jar of pennies. Forgotten. Ignored. Until one man took a closer look and everything changed, because this isn't just any Lincoln penny. It's one of the rarest and most mysterious minting errors ever made. A silent treasure slipped past the US Mint, unnoticed by even the most experienced eyes until it exploded at auction. But what makes this 1968 Lincoln penny so special? Why are collectors losing sleep, scouring through rolls of change, desperate to find just one? And how can you spot one for yourself before it vanishes into another collector's vault forever? Because the answer could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it could be worth $1 million or more. Let's rewind the clock to 1968. It was a year of change. The country was in turmoil. The world watched as the US Mint reopened its doors in San Francisco and began producing proof coins once again. That's where this story begins. You see, in 1968, the San Francisco Mint struck millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies, each one carrying a small but powerful mark, the letter S just below the date. To most, it was just a mint mark. But to a trained eye, it was a clue. A sign. A warning that something wasn't right, because a small handful of these 1968 pennies were struck using proof dies. The ultra-detailed, mirror-finished dies meant only for collector sets, but somehow, they were minted on regular circulation planchets, and that changed everything. Imagine it. A coin meant to be flawless, perfect, preserved in a velvet case, now battered into mass production, thrown into circulation with the rest of the common change. A once-in-a-lifetime error that escaped the strictest quality controls of the US Mint. Collectors were stunned, dealers were baffled, and when one of these mistruck coins hit the open market, the bidding war exploded. But here's where the mystery deepens: only a tiny number of these error coins have ever been authenticated. Some experts believe as few as a dozen exist in the world today, and the rarest among them? A 1968 penny struck with no mint mark at all, an impossible coin, since San Francisco proof coins should never have entered circulation, and should always carry the S, but somehow, one got out, and when it did, it shattered expectations. In a dramatic auction room showdown, collectors drove the price higher and higher, until the final gavel came down. $1.7 million. For a coin no bigger than a fingernail. But what happened next stunned even the most seasoned experts. The buyer remained anonymous. The location of the coin? A secret, and whispers began swirling. Could there be more out there? Did someone at the mint slip these out intentionally? Or was it a ghost in the machine, a one in a billion fluke? Suddenly, everyone was searching. Retired bankers, mechanics, teachers, people from every walk of life began digging through jars, boxes, and drawers, hunting for that one elusive cent that might change everything. And then, someone found another. This time, it was a man in rural Ohio. He'd been collecting coins casually, nothing serious. Just a hobby passed down from his grandfather. He noticed the S looked strange. Slightly off-center. The details on Lincoln's bust were razor-sharp, like a proof coin, but the finish? Plain. Matte. Circulated. He sent it in for grading. Weeks passed. Then the call came. You might want to sit down, the voice said. His casual find was authenticated as one of the rarest 1968 error pennies ever discovered. Estimated value? Over $1 million. His life changed in a single phone call, and that brings us to you, because this coin isn't locked away in some museum. It's not reserved for the rich or elite. This exact penny could be in a handful of change at the bottom of your kitchen drawer. It could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to recognize its true worth. 1968. Next, look directly beneath the date. Is there a small S mint mark? That's your first clue, but don't stop there. Examine the coin's detail. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Does Lincoln's face have unusually sharp features? Are the letters crisp and finely defined, like they were carved with a laser? That's a possible sign the coin was struck with proof dies. Now flip it over. Check the Lincoln Memorial. Can you see the statue of Lincoln between the columns? Are the lines extra clean, the spacing unusually tight? If so, your heart should be racing, because this combination, a 1968 penny with proof die detail but a normal circulation finish, could be the jackpot. But here's the twist: some of the most valuable versions don't have the S at all. A 1968 penny with no mint mark, but bearing the unmistakable signs of a proof strike, that's the unicorn. The one nearly no one believes exists, until they see it. Fakes exist. Many people have altered coins, adding or removing mint marks in hopes of fooling buyers. So before you celebrate, get it graded. Only professional certification can confirm the coin's true identity and value, and that's exactly what one man did. He spent less than 15 minutes going through an old box of coins from his late uncle's attic. 15 minutes. One coin caught his eye. It looked too perfect. The S was faint, the shine unusual. He mailed it to PCGS. Weeks passed. Genuine 1968 S-proof strike on a circulation planchet. Auction estimate? Between $1.20 and $1.7 million, all from a coin nearly tossed in the trash. Think about that. While most people overlook pennies, step over them, ignore them, discard them, a select few are finding life-changing treasure in the most unexpected place of all, their pocket change. Take a second tonight. Grab that dusty jar, pour it out. Look for 1968. Look for the S. Look for that proof-like detail hiding in a coin that was never supposed to exist, because someone will find the next $1 million penny. And imagine this: a tired man walks into a local diner in Colorado that he pays for coffee with coins he scooped from his glove box, but among those coins was a 1964 D. Lincoln Memorial penny. Not just any penny, this one would shake the foundations of the coin collecting world. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Worn edges. Dull copper tone, just another penny, but buried in that little coin was a flaw. A secret. A minting mistake so rare, so mysterious, that even seasoned collectors would doubt it existed. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A young collector, barely 25, spotted it days later at a flea market that he was searching through a rusty coffee can of loose change, and something about the date, the texture, the weight, it didn't feel right. It felt heavier, crisper, like it didn't belong. But he had just found a penny worth over $1 million, because in 1964, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies, but hidden within that massive run were a few pennies struck with a leftover 1963 die, and in some shocking cases, double dies. Some of these coins even show traces of the old wheat ears beneath the memorial design, a ghostly, accidental hybrid. Collectors were shocked. Historians were baffled. They went into a frenzy, but this wasn't just about minting errors, it was about timing. 1964 was a year of transition. The US Mint was rushing to meet coin shortages, mistakes slipped through, and a few lucky pennies slipped into circulation. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. But what makes the 1964 D. Lincoln Memorial penny so rare is that almost no one knew to look. Most people spent them, lost them, dropped them on the street, and today only a tiny handful have ever been found. But here's the twist: the most valuable of these pennies, the one that cost $1.8 million at private auction, wasn't just rare. It was in near perfect condition. A pristine strike, flawless surface, and yes, that all-important D-Mint mark. Subtly misaligned. Dealers scrambled to verify it. Authenticators spent weeks comparing the font, the curve of Lincoln's jawline, the exact spacing of "In God We Trust." Everything matched, but it also didn't. This was a ghost penny. A transition error that should never have existed, and yet, here it was. A 1-cent piece, now worth a fortune. But the story gets even stranger. He'd kept it in a sock drawer for over a decade. He almost gave it to his nephew as part of a school project, until, one day, curiosity struck. He Googled the date. Saw a forum post about 1964 D oddities. Sent a photo to a local coin shop, and within 72 hours, that coin was on its way to a private auction house. The bids started small, $25,000, $60,000, then it jumped. One collector from Florida pushed the bid to $750,000. A museum archivist from the East Coast nearly doubled it. $1,800,000. For a penny that once sat in a sock drawer. But the story doesn't end there, because experts believe there are more out there, still hiding, still being spent, still waiting in change jars, in desk drawers, in dusty mason jars across America. And here's how to know if you're holding the $1 million version. Look for the 1964 date with the D Mint mark just beneath the year. That mark means it was struck in Denver. Then the clues begin. Check for slight doubling on the Liberty lettering, especially the B and the E. Under magnification, you might see a shadow image, signs of a double dyed. Examine Lincoln's eye and bow tie. Are they slightly blurry or layered? That could be your $1 million hint. The edges should be clean, but look for anomalies on the rim, sometimes caused by die breaks. Some of these rare pennies were struck on leftover planchets, coin blanks from other denominations. That means your penny might weigh more than usual, or ring differently when dropped. Collectors have missed these clues for decades, but now, you know the signs. This isn't just a coin, it's a time capsule from a chaotic year in US Mint history. A treasure born from haste and hidden in plain sight. Every single day, pennies like this are spent at vending machines, dropped into donation jars, thrown into fountains, and maybe, just maybe, the next one is already in your home, because right now, at this very moment, the 1964 D. Lincoln Memorial penny worth up to $1.8 million could be sitting in your drawer, and it only takes one lucky glance to change everything. A quiet man in California had a habit. He'd dump his pocket change into an old mason jar every night. For 30 years, it sat untouched, collecting dust on a forgotten shelf. One morning, out of sheer boredom, he decided to go through the coins. That's when he saw it. A 1971 Lincoln penny, with a tiny S below the date. He had no idea he was holding one of the rarest and most mysterious coins in U.S. history. A coin so valuable, collectors have offered up to $1.9 million for a pristine example. A coin born from a hidden mistake, and a minting process shrouded in secrecy. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When he took that penny to a local coin show just to satisfy his curiosity, a dealer gasped. "Where did you get this?" the man asked, confused. The dealer's hands were trembling. This might be the one. The one they said didn't exist. The story of the 1971 S penny is unlike anything you've ever heard, because this isn't just a rare coin, it's a minting mystery. A forgotten relic of a U.S. mint experiment, gone completely off the rails. And most people are walking right past it. You see, in 1971, the U.S. Mint in San Francisco was quietly phasing out proof-only production. But something strange happened that year. Among the millions of regular proof coins struck for collectors, a small handful of pennies were struck using proof dies, but somehow slipped into circulation. To the untrained eye, it looks like a regular penny. But to collectors who know what to look for? It's a game changer. One detail changes everything. This coin shows deep strike doubling, known in the coin world as double die obverse. On the 1971 S penny, that doubling is most dramatic in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. The letters appear to shimmer, almost like a 3D illusion. But it's no illusion. It's a striking error, a rare one. It wasn't discovered until years later. By then, the mint had no record of how many were struck, or if they were meant to be released at all. The dealers are rushing to get their hands on it. Collectors are offering blank checks, because fewer than a dozen flawless examples have ever been confirmed. And when one surfaced at auction, it shattered expectations, over $1.9 million. For a single penny. And yes, it came from someone's change jar, but the mystery runs even deeper. Some experts believe there may be a second variety, a shadow version, with subtle doubling that's even harder to detect. These stealth versions could be hiding in collections, in drawers, or even at the bottom of vending machine trays. And here's where it gets truly unbelievable. One man, a truck driver from Michigan, was sorting through a bankroll when he noticed something strange. A 1971 S penny that looked off. Sharper than usual. He put it under a basic magnifier and nearly dropped it. That same doubling clear as day. He rushed it to a professional grader. Weeks later, he was holding the certification in his hands. MS65 red double die obverse. The coin was valued at over $800,000 on the spot, and yet, most people still don't know it exists. This isn't just a story about luck. It's about knowing what to look for. Because thousands of 1971 S pennies are still out there, sitting quietly in jars, drawers, and glove compartments. Overlooked. Misjudged. Forgotten. But what makes this coin so dangerous to ignore is how subtle the treasure can be. The 1971 S double die obverse isn't a cartoonish error. The doubling is refined, precise. It takes a keen eye and a steady hand to catch it. But once you know the signs, you'll never unsee them, and now, so will you. Here's exactly what you need to know. First, look at the mint mark. The S below the 1971 date means it was struck at the San Francisco Mint, a major clue. Next, focus on the word Liberty. The doubled letters will appear slightly raised, with shadows and ghosting on the edges, almost like a doubling of the entire inscription. Then look at In God We Trust. The doubling is most visible in God and Trust. The letters may seem thicker or echo themselves faintly. Use a 10x magnifier. Even a smartphone camera in macro mode can help. And compare to a standard 1971 S penny online to see the difference. Most counterfeiters ignore the subtle doubling, so if you spot one that looks too perfect, be cautious. Always verify with a third-party grader like PCGS or NGC. You'll feel it. That weight. That stillness. That sense that history has paused for a second and handed you a miracle, because this coin doesn't just tell a story, it changes one. A man in Ohio used his discovery to pay off medical debt. A woman in Florida found hers and gifted it to her grandson and changed his life forever. One penny, worth over $1 million, and here's the most heart-pounding part, some experts believe there are still up to 50 of these coins in circulation. That's 50 chances. 50 moments waiting to be discovered. 50 lives that could be rewritten forever, and they're hiding in the most ordinary places. At the bottom of your change, JARI in the cup holder of your car, inside an old wallet passed down from your grandfather. The 1971 S double die-obverse penny is one of the greatest treasure hunts of our time. Quiet, elusive, and absolutely real, and now, you know what to look for. In liberty and in God we trust. That's the trifecta. Miss it, and you might pass over a fortune, and you just found yourself holding a $1.9 million miracle. But weeks later, it stunned collectors at auction, selling for nearly $1 million, because what looked like an ordinary 1979 D. Lincoln Memorial cent was hiding a jaw-dropping secret. It wasn't a proof. It wasn't made of silver. It was something far rarer and far more valuable, and here's the most chilling part. Millions of people have seen one and never realized it. So now, the question is, could one be hiding in your pocket right now? Back in 1979, the Denver Mint struck over 4.1 billion pennies, yes, billion with a B. Most were perfect. Predictable. Worth just 1 cent, but buried in that ocean of copper were a few, very different coins, coins with microscopic flaws, coins with mysterious doubling, coins that should have never left the mint, but somehow did, and one of them, a mistruck 1979 D. Lincoln cent, would end up being called the ghost error. Because for decades, collectors didn't even know it existed until one man spotted it, and that moment changed everything. He was sorting through change from a 7-Eleven store in Colorado, just an average guy. A lifelong penny hunter, and that day, he noticed something odd. A 1979 D penny where Lincoln's portrait looked, off of the date looked shadowed, almost duplicated, and the D mint mark? It was distorted, like it had been hit twice. He nearly dismissed it as damage, but something told him to look closer. He took out a magnifier, and what he saw next would make the coin world erupt. The coin had dramatic die deterioration, creating what experts later dubbed a floating bust effect. Lincoln's face almost looked like a hologram, his collar was missing edges. And even the steps on the memorial were blurred into nothing. This wasn't post-mint damage, this was a legitimate mint error, and the details were so extreme, it was practically a ghost version of the penny. But here's the twist, this wasn't just one penny. More started to surface. Collectors began digging through rolls of 1979 D pennies, and some found nearly identical errors, but none were quite as dramatic as the original. That first one, the so-called $1 million ghost, was sent to auction. It was raw, unslabbed, uncertified, yet bidders flooded in because the coin wasn't just an error, it was a mystery, and in the coin world, mystery can mean money. A lot of money within minutes. The bids shattered expectations, $5,000, $10,000, $100,000, and when the final gavel struck, the room fell silent. One mistruck penny, pulled from gas station change, was now worth nearly $1 million, and to this day, experts still argue how it happened. Some say the dies were reused far beyond their lifespan, others believe a rogue mint worker deliberately tampered with the press, and a few whisper that it was an experimental strike, never meant to be seen by the public. This coin shattered the belief that post-1960 pennies were worthless, because it proved something vital. Even a modern penny can change your life. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After the auction, coin forums and Reddit exploded. Check your 1979 DS, they said, look for the floating bust. Don't throw away your change until you're sure. Collectors raced to banks, begging for penny rolls. Dealers began offering premiums for uncertified 1979 DS, and grading services reported a sudden flood of 1979 D Lincoln cents arriving in their mail, but few matched the quality of the original. Most had minor errors. Some were altered, only a small handful carried the same haunting detail, the ghost Lincoln look, and just one, was certified by PCGS's die deterioration error, dramatic floating bust. Estimated value, $600,000 to $850,000, depending on market demand. But here's the part nobody talks about, there could still be more out there. Mint records from 1979 show that several presses at the Denver Mint had issues with collar dies, the very part responsible for sharp detail. If even one of those faulty presses ran longer than expected, there could be dozens, maybe hundreds of ghost pennies in circulation, and most people would never know, because to the untrained eye, it looks like just Another worn out coin, another junk penny, but to a collector, it's a potential $1 million miracle. So now you're probably asking, the year must be 1979, with a clear D mint mark under the date. No other date qualifies. It must be Denver. Check Lincoln's portrait. In the error version, his jawline fades unnaturally, his collar may vanish entirely, and the cheek and forehead may appear doubled or ghosted, as if there's a second shadow of his face. Focus on the Lincoln Memorial steps. Are they clean? Sharp? Then it's normal, but if they're blurry, soft, almost erased, that's your next clue. Examine the D mint mark. Some versions of this error show a ghosted D, or even doubling, like a second D struck slightly off. If your coin has 3 or more of these features, you might be holding a legend. Don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't try to fix it, that could destroy its value instantly. Instead, place it in a soft holder, take clear photos, and reach out to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Or contact a reputable dealer and ask for an evaluation, because you don't want to be the person who finds a treasure and ruins it by mistake. Collectors were shocked by this coin. Dealers are still hunting for it, and those who laughed at modern pennies, they're not laughing anymore, because this little copper cent, once thought worthless, is now a symbol of hidden fortune, the kind of coin that turns pocket change into legacy, the kind of story that gets passed down for generations. This penny almost ended up lost forever, tucked between couch cushions, forgotten in an old shoebox, nearly thrown away with the trash. But when one collector took a second glance, his life changed forever. A single 1978 Lincoln Memorial penny without a mint mark recently stunned the coin world by selling for over $1 million. Millions of people have handled this exact kind of penny and never realized what they were holding. The truth behind the 1978 no mint mark penny is a story full of accidents, secrets, and a mystery that's left even seasoned collectors shaking their heads. Because buried in everyday pocket change lies a potential jackpot, and most people walk right past it. But this isn't just a lucky coin, it's a treasure born from a rare combination of US mint history, unnoticed errors, and near-perfect preservation. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to spot one so you don't miss your chance at $1 million miracle. It all began in Philadelphia. The year was 1978. The Lincoln Memorial penny was already an American icon, first minted in 1959 to honor 150 years since Lincoln's birth. But this year, something went wrong. Or, very right, thousands of coins came off the presses missing a tiny detail that would become worth a fortune, the mint mark. Now here's what most people don't know: Philadelphia pennies aren't supposed to have a mint mark. So technically, a 1978 penny without one isn't rare at all, because in this case, the missing mint mark wasn't the whole story. One collector found a 1978 no mint mark penny that looked different. It shimmered in the light with a mirror-like finish. Razor-sharp details. A strike so crisp, it looked sculpted. He thought it was just a shiny penny. Until an expert saw it and gasped, it was a proof-like coin. Somehow, a 1978 no mint mark penny had been struck with an unusually high pressure, using specially prepared dies, likely by mistake. The result? A business strike coin with the appearance of a proof. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the penny went up for auction, seasoned dealers expected it to sell for a few $1,000s, maybe $10,000, if the right bidder showed up, but the bidding didn't stop. Phone lines lit up. Collectors started flying in. And when the final gavel fell, the winning bid was just over $1.1 million. Yes, 1 cent turned into more than $1 million. And here's the shocking part: no one knows how many more of these ultra-rare 1978 no mint mark pennies are out there. Some experts believe there could be dozens, maybe hundreds. Others say only a handful ever existed, and the rest were destroyed. Dealers are scrambling to inspect every 1978 penny that crosses their table. Collectors are digging through old coin jars, searching for that magical shine, the razor edge, the invisible detail that makes all the difference, and all of it hinges on one critical mystery: how do you spot the $1 million version from the common pocket change? First, flip your 1978 penny over and examine the strike quality. A valuable version will show extreme clarity in Lincoln's hair, the lettering, and the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. If it looks flat or blurry, it's probably not the one. But if it pops like it's been carved, don't stop there and next, check the fields. That's the flat space behind Lincoln and around the memorial. If those fields look like glass, a deep, smooth mirror-like reflection, you may be holding something extremely special. Then, inspect the color and luster. Most 1978 pennies are dull and brownish. But the ultra-rare one? It radiates a golden red brilliance, like it's still fresh from the mint. Check for die doubling. That means some parts of the design, like the word Liberty or the date, may appear slightly doubled. If that's present, even subtly, your coin's value could skyrocket, but there's one more clue, and most people overlook it. A standard 1978 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. But several known rarities, especially transitional error coins, were struck on the wrong metal planchets. That means your penny might be lighter, or heavier, than expected. Some of these rare off-metal strikes from the late 70s have sold for 5 or even 6 figures on weight anomaly alone. He didn't weigh his coin. He just had a gut feeling. He said, it looked too perfect. Like it didn't belong in a pocket. And that intuition paid off, to the tune of $1 million. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Rumors started circulating that another identical penny had surfaced, this time from a small-town thrift store in Kansas. A woman sorting through donated clothes found a penny stuck to an old receipt. She noticed it was shiny, and kept it. Later that year, she had it appraised. And the stunned expert told her, you may want to sit down, but insiders believe it could break the last record. Because right now, at this very moment, one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history might be hiding in a coin jar, or tucked inside an old wallet, or resting quietly at the bottom of your kitchen junk drawer. Collectors are shocked. Dealers are desperate to get their hands on more. And the demand is skyrocketing, but most people still think it's just a common penny. Don't make that mistake. First, do not clean it. Even a tiny scratch can slash the value in half a second. Store it in a soft plastic flip or airtight container and keep it somewhere cool and dry. Then, take high-resolution photos, both sides, clear lighting, and finally, contact a certified coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Request a full evaluation. If your coin has the right combination of strike, finish, weight, and luster, you may be looking at a life-changing payday. These coins aren't just collectibles. They're historical accidents. Beautiful, mysterious, million-dollar mistakes, and there's nothing more thrilling in the world of numismatics than finding one before the rest of the world catches on. So the next time you hear a penny drop, listen closely, because it might be more than just spare change. It might be destiny. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But it turned out to be worth over $1 million. It has 1977 no mint mark, something most people ignore without a second glance. It sat quietly in a jar, forgotten for decades, until one day, a collector noticed a strange detail, a tiny imperfection that would rewrite everything we thought we knew about this coin. What he discovered sent shockwaves through the coin community. This wasn't just a regular 1977 penny, it was something far rarer. Something that never should have existed in the first place, and once the truth came out, collectors went into a frenzy. But what makes this ordinary-looking coin command such an extraordinary price? Why are experts now calling it one of the most mysterious and valuable pennies in U.S. history? And how do you know if you have one sitting right now in your drawer, your car, or your coin jar? Let's unravel the mystery. Because this story is about more than just a coin, it's about the once-in-a lifetime chance to turn spare change into $1 million miracle. It begins back in 1977. The Lincoln Memorial penny was everywhere. Over 4.4 billion were struck that year, a staggering number, but buried deep within that sea of copper was something no one expected. A minting anomaly so rare, so precise, it seemed impossible, and it all started with one missing letter, the mint mark. In 1977, Philadelphia minted pennies didn't carry a mint mark. That part is normal. That's where the mystery deepens. A handful of these no mint mark coins were found with proof-like qualities, brilliant surfaces, razor-sharp details, and mirrored fields that never should have appeared on business strike coins. Some even showed faint doubling, others carried mysterious die breaks in identical places, and then came the shocker. One of these coins sold at auction for $1.20 million. Not because of who owned it, not because of some gimmick, but because of what it revealed, a hidden flaw in the minting process that should never have made it into public hands. Just a retired factory worker from Ohio. He wasn't a coin expert. He wasn't looking for treasure. He just liked saving odd-looking pennies, but when he brought it to a local dealer, everything changed. The dealer's hands trembled as he examined the coin under magnification. This isn't just rare, he said. This changes everything. And it did, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because more examples started surfacing, and they all shared a chillingly specific set of traits. First, the coin had ultra-sharp details on Lincoln's bust, finer than normal circulation strikes. Second, it had a slight doubling on the word Liberty and the date, almost invisible unless you looked extremely close. Third, it had a bizarre, almost invisible die crack stretching across Lincoln's shoulder like a lightning bolt. Frozen in time, some of them showed a faint ghost image of a mint mark that was never supposed to be there. Could it be that these were originally meant to be struck at another mint, but something went wrong? Some experts claimed these were experimental strikes, test coins that accidentally escaped the mint. Others believed they were the result of a secret error batch, quietly released into circulation. But no one knows for sure. It only fuels the frenzy. Dealers are now offering tens of thousands of dollars for even slightly unusual 1977 no-mint mark pennies. Collectors are turning their coin jars upside down, and stories are pouring into stories of people finding these coins in old piggy banks, glove compartments, even gas station change trays. Because this isn't just a fluke, it's a nationwide treasure hunt. Most people who hold this coin have no idea what they've got. They spend it, drop it, or toss it in the laundry machine because it looks so ordinary until you know exactly what to look for. Here's what you need to check, and you'll need a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe for this. First, look at the surface shine. Almost like a proof coin? That's the first clue. Liberty and the date. Where the letters appear slightly doubled, shadowed, or thickened, that's a major red flag, and a valuable one. Now, check Lincoln's shoulder and chest area. This is where the tiny die crack might appear, often looking like a hairline fracture or lightning shape. Even a faint crack in the exact right place can boost the value exponentially. And finally, and this is crucial, tilt the coin under a light and examine the space below the date. Do you see the faint ghost of a mint mark, as if one had once been there, but vanished? That ghostly shadow has baffled experts. Some believe it's a trace from an over-polished die, others think it's a remnant of a canceled batch meant for Denver or San Francisco. Either way, it's $1 million detail, and it could be hiding in plain sight. But here's the warning most people miss: there are fakes out there. Coins altered by hand, coated with strange finishes, or artificially polished to look rare. These have zero value and can trick even some amateur collectors. That's why you must verify everything. If you think you found a match, take it to a reputable coin dealer or grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate and grade the coin, and that grading can make all the difference between a $10 oddity and a $1 million discovery. And there's one last detail, and it's the one most people overlook: the weight. The original 1977 pennies were made of 95% copper and should weigh about 3.11 grams, but some of these mystery coins weigh slightly less, closer to 2.5 grams, as if they were struck on the wrong planchet. A foreign planchet, a test strike, a one-of-a-kind mint mistake. No one knows for sure, but that weight difference could be the key to unlocking its true value. Collectors are still searching, still hoping, still dreaming, because in the world of coins, it's not just about age, it's about accidents. It's about the unexplainable, the mysterious, the impossible coin that somehow made it into your hands. And for one lucky man in Ohio, it turned an afternoon of coin searching into a life-changing payday. Now it's your turn. Check your jars, your drawers, your pockets. That ordinary-looking penny could be hiding one extraordinary truth. It was dull, brown, barely noticeable, just another forgotten cent in the palm of an elderly man who'd saved it since 1965. But what he didn't know, what no one around him knew, was that this little coin held a secret. A secret so rare, so explosive, it would later stun professional collectors and spark a wild bidding war that climbed to over $1.3 million. And here's the truly chilling part: you might be holding the exact same coin in your hand right now, because this isn't a story about gold or silver. It's not about ancient Roman artifacts buried in the sands of time. No. This is about something far more shocking: a modern penny. A U.S. Lincoln Memorial penny from 1965, with no mint mark, just one small detail, and this coin's value explodes from 1 cent to over $1 million. But before we show you exactly how to spot one of these, you need to know why this specific year, this coin, and this tiny minting quirk, makes it one of the rarest discoveries in American numismatic history. Because in 1965, something strange happened at the U.S. Mint. The country was in chaos. Silver coin shortages were sweeping across America. People were hoarding coins. Everyday pocket change became scarce. And in a desperate move to fight the shortage, the mint made a radical decision: they eliminated all mint marks from coins. For the first time since the early 1900s, the mint deliberately removed the tiny letter that told collectors where a coin was made: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. Gone. All pennies, dimes, and quarters from 1965, 1966, and 1967 were struck without mint marks, in an effort to discourage hoarding. But what happened next stunned the coin world, because while most 1965 pennies were made in Philadelphia, a small, almost undetectable number were accidentally struck on older, Leftover silver planchets meant for dimes or foreign coins, and those few mysterious errors, are now worth over $1 million, yes, million. With an M. Collectors were shocked when the first one surfaced at auction. It looked like a regular penny, but it was far lighter than it should have been. And under a microscope, experts saw something chilling: the coin wasn't copper at all. It was struck on a dime blank. An accidental hybrid, born from chaos at the mint, and only a handful were ever found. One man discovered his rare 1965 error penny while sorting through an old mason jar in his attic. He thought it felt off in his hand, too light, too silvery. He brought it to a dealer just to be safe. That coin would later sell for nearly $1.3 million. And here's the kicker: it was hiding in that jar for over 50 years. But that wasn't the only mystery. Some 1965 Lincoln pennies also show unusual double die errors, with Lincoln's profile appearing ever so slightly doubled, a ghostly echo of the strike. Others have off-center impressions, clipped planchets, or bizarre wrong metal combinations that defy logic. Every one of these errors multiplies the value dramatically. Check the weight. A standard 1965 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams, copper alloy. But the rare error pennies struck on dime planchets weigh just 2.5 grams. That tiny difference? It's worth over $1 million. Look at the color. If your penny appears silver, grayish, or lighter than normal, that's a massive red flag. Most 1965 pennies are a deep copper or brown. But silver-toned ones? Those are not normal. Examine the strike. Many error coins show signs of weak detail, off-centering, or ghost images, especially around the words Liberty and the date 1965. But most people miss the next clue entirely. Some of the rarest 1965 no-mint mark pennies were never meant to enter circulation at all. They were test strikes. Experimental coins. And a few somehow escaped the mint and ended up in the real world, in jars, drawers, even payphones. One coin was found inside a church donation box, another discovered by a 14-year-old boy counting change for a school fundraiser. Those coins later stunned experts, and the bidding went wild. One sold for $940,000. Another broke the $1 million mark, but what's more incredible is how many people missed the signs. Millions of 1965 pennies exist, but only a few carry this hidden treasure trait. And while others toss them aside, the wise collector sees something more, because sometimes, it's not about what you see. It's about what you feel, that strange metallic sound when it hits the counter. That flash of silver in a sea of copper. That gut feeling that something's off, and sometimes, the feeling leads to $1 million. The answer lies in U.S. coin law. Technically, error coins that escape the mint into circulation become legal to own and trade. That means if you find one, it's yours. No recall. No government claim. Just you and the open market. And in recent years, the market has exploded. Dealers are desperate to get their hands on 1965 off-metal errors. Auctions are climbing. TikTok videos are going viral. Facebook coin groups are lit up with stories of shocking finds, because the more people look, the more discoveries are being made. One woman in Ohio found hers in a plastic jar labeled vacation fund. Another man found one wedged between couch cushions while cleaning out his late father's house. Both coins, over 6 figures, and both were nearly thrown away. But what happened next changed their lives forever. Use a jeweler's scale. Weigh every 1965 penny you find. If it weighs 2.5 grams or less, do not spend it. Get it appraised immediately. Use a magnet. While it shouldn't stick, these errors are not steel. Any unusual magnetic reaction can signal a non-standard metal composition. But trust your instincts. Anything that looks silver, gray, thinner, or off-strike could be the hidden gem. Condition matters. The highest auction prices come from coins in extremely fine or uncirculated condition. That means no major scratches, no heavy wear, and clear detail. Some 1965 pennies with no mint mark may actually hide double errors: a silver planchet and a doubled die strike. These are the holy grail, and only a few have ever surfaced. One such coin recently received an MS-66 grade, near mint perfection, and sold in a private auction for $1.32 million. A single penny, tossed around for decades, becomes a life-changing miracle. Go through your jars, your drawers, your old wallets. Look through inherited change. Pay close attention to every 1965 penny, especially those that feel too light or look too silvery.